How do we create a safe way to properly track the effectiveness of marketing in a world where we can't rely on third-party cookies? We have to do it safely, and we have to do it under all the privacy laws that exist for a global organization. At Incubeta, as a global marketing outperforms agency, which is very AI first in all of our approaches, we take this very seriously and have a proper methodology to measure incrementality in a safe environment in a safe way. So number one, we got to think about across an organization that's going out and doing marketing across their digital experiences. The very first thing we look at is, number one, what are all their data sources that they actively have today? And let's just, as an example, most people look and say, okay, you've got digital experience data, which would be all their website, social media data, anything coming out of those types of infrastructures would typically roll into what we would call either Google Analytics data or Adobe Analytics data, right? So it's just digital experience data. Number two, what available CRM data do we have? And how do we measure that if someone from our CRM actively goes on to our digital experiences and engages? Well, in the world we live in today, you can see across most web and app experiences, that's the number one driver why we want users to log in to something. Because by logging in, they give consent that, hey, I am now visiting this digital experience, this is who I am, and this is what I'm doing. But users who expect a top-tier experience seem to, for the most part, be okay with allowing that, hey, I'm logging in, therefore I expect an incredible experience. We can take that data and then understand fundamentally how we group all of our sets of users across different cohorts to then enable us to then properly track what are their behaviors and what goes on within their journey of I came to this website versus I came to the mobile app versus I visited an in-store experience where I checked out at a point of sale system, whatever that may be. By properly tracking, we know that we gave consent, we asked them for their consent, we received their consent, and we can track them through the process. Well, to do this at a higher level, even further, is to create, in the world of now in the age of AI, let's even go back a few years. We had to take all those disparate data systems. Here's my CRM data, my web experience, let's say Google Analytics data, here's my email marketing data, here's my social media data, and we tied that together into a data warehouse. And we tried to come up with one unique identifier that we could stitch all this data together. And it used to be super easy because we used to have, in a simple way in terms of marketing and consent, that we could just drop a cookie and we could track that person across and identify what they clicked on and what they did. Well, in today's world, we've become more stringent on our privacy laws. And so how do we do this today is we simply say, hey, if we can see a user inside of our CRM gave us consent, and if we allow, because we built such incredible experiences and they log in across these different platforms, we then can build very specific identifiers, whether it be just a simple ID, a user ID, and we can stitch that together across inside of a data warehouse. And AI, what makes AI so incredible is now we can build what we call advanced, what I call customer data platforms, where we can get to that golden record, that golden source of truth, and really identifying what is the journey of our customer. How often are they logging in across these different platforms? What types of experiences are they expecting? Where are they dropping off? And more importantly, we look at what is their engagement level. I mean, a simple example would be that we all travel, and for most of us here in the United States, let's pick Delta. I'm a recent international traveler. How often am I logging into the Delta app, whether it is just to get on a plane and to fly, or whether it is to book a trip, whether it is to book additional travel, or book a rental car, book a hotel, all those little touch points that go on. I'm sure Delta is tracking every single move that I'm going through, and they're trying to predict when am I going to come back and log in again and do the next. Well, for every organization at scale, then we need to be doing this at the right way. And I think for consumers in general, it's this give and take. If we give consent the right way, we expect these large organizations at scale to hold our privacy and do the right thing. But if they're giving us incredible experiences, then for me as a consumer, I'm okay if they know that I've logged in XYZ times across these different platforms because I'm expecting something to work in the right capacity. If I have an issue with it and I'm not seeing that it's going in the right direction, then of course I stop. I no longer go in that path. But I think that's the best way in which organizations at large. Now, Incubeta in general, we do some very advanced, what we call mixed media modeling. So to do that the right way, an organization that's spending money across different marketing channels, et cetera, has to have, you're collecting data across these different platforms and your different channels. All those have unique identifiers. The age of AI makes it very possible to quickly go through and do advanced machine learning models to track and say, well, I can predict and see this user touched these different areas of media across these different channels, and I can see based on their behaviors how often then they logged into my digital experiences or touched a digital experience. That's one way we do this safely. Another scenario is sometimes we do what's called geofencing, where we can see if, for instance, we're advertising for a major event, we're helping an organization, let's say it's an e-commerce model, and they run a brick and mortar stores across the United States or across the globe, and they also run an online presence. How do we track the media that goes out that drives folks, whether they're shopping online or they actually show up in store? And so how do we attract the effectiveness of a campaign that we actually drove foot traffic into a store? Well, that's often where we see some geofencing take place. If we get those consumers who've given us their consent, they've logged into their mobile app, they potentially purchased something online, and now they show up in a store and they purchase something from a POS system, we can connect those dots. And that's a way we do that very safely.